Hello, I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. Today's topic is going to be hate versus hurt, anger, and forgiveness. Okay, first I'd like to say is that one problem and flaw I see within not only the mental health field, but within society as a whole is that we put religion into our belief systems as to what we say is factual when it's actually just a theory. It's not factual. Forgiveness comes from religion. Most people will say that it doesn't. They'll say, no, you need to forgive. Do I need to forgive? No. That's just a personal belief. There's nothing written in stone. You can't go in somebody's brain and see that you need to forgive and to actually move on and heal. So the feelings of, let's go by hurt and anger. Which one is hardest to deal with and get through? Hurt. I'll go by my 3 alcoholics. There's my father, mother, and sister. My father, what's the difference between him and my mother and sister? I hate my mother and sister. Do I hate my father? No. I'm extremely hurt by what he had done to me and his abuse towards me. So, Ken, do I hate Ken? No. I have a lot of hurt, extreme hurt from him as well. Grumpster, again, extreme hurt. Now we're going to go to emotional versus physical. Most people would automatically assume that there's Grumpster, that he caused the most pain because of the physical part. No, it was the emotional that hurt the most with that. And that would be the hardest to forgive. Ken, like I stated, is that he caused me the most trauma that I could ever remember and emotional pain. Same with my father. He caused emotional pain. So, with Grumster, it was basically certain things that Ken had done to me too, which was ghosting me. He had also stood me up, and like Ken, he had used abuse against me, engaged with another person. Just like Ken engaged with the Boy and Colt clans. So, I'm gonna do a lineup based upon, there's gonna be Ken, my father, and Grumster. As for hurt, and based how comfortable I would be to even think about trusting them or even talking to them after the emotional pain they have done to me. So I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to pretend that they're there. So, okay, here's going to be Ken over here. Oh. Oof. Oh man. Oh, that no, no, okay. See, that's hard. The emotional pain. Okay, my father. Yeah, that would be a little bit easier. A lot easier. Okay. Grumster. I'd say that would be the easier one out of the 3 of them. That's right. And most people would think that that would have been the harder one. Now, with Ken, it dealt with him being the first person that I had trusted. With my father, well, he's my father. And that is very hard because he's the first person that I looked up to and felt a bond with in that way. Now, Grumster. That was hard, especially because I had realized that he's the first person that I ever loved, even in an intimate partnership. And have I loved before? Yeah, my father. But guess what? That wasn't since I was a young child. I don't even remember what love felt like, because he became abusive shortly after I was a young child. So, Grumster was the first person I felt love with. Now I'm going to go to the 3 rapes in comparison. The first rape, we were talking about physical abuse. What was the hard part? It was the emotional part. What happened to me with the first rape? I was 15 and I was drugged and raped while I was unconscious, and I woke up to being raped. And the hard part was not the physical part, but the emotional. I myself have strong feelings about sexual intercourse. I see it as making love, and I always wanted my first time to be with somebody that loved me and I loved them. That was extremely important to me. So by being raped, I felt like that had been taken away from me. The traumatic part that made it hard was being hurt, because my sister had falsely accused me of being a drug addict and also falsely accused me of lying about being raped. Didn't believe me. So that was the traumatic part and very hurtful. Also, my parents putting me into a mental institute because I had skipped school. Again, mental institutes aren't for punishment. I had to skip school because I didn't want to see my rapist, and also I was ashamed about what had happened to me and what others would think. I didn't tell anybody. I didn't tell anybody about the second time I was raped when I was 16. So, let's just say that I actually regret even saying it this time. And this was the first time out of the 3 that I actually told anybody. I didn't even tell anybody when I was 15. I didn't tell my best friend even. So, the one thing from this experience is that I'm never going to tell anybody. If it ever happens again, I'm never telling anybody, period. So, emotional pain, it deals with physical pain too. It's both, not just thinking. People think it's just in the head, that your thoughts and everything else. But emotional abuse causes physical pain. With Ken, the physical pain was so extreme. I remember that pain over any other physical pain I've had in my life. I honestly meant that I would have rather Ken knocked me out a zillion times than what he had done, which was engaged with the abuse, going against me, faking being my friend, falsely accusing me of things that was very untrue, believing lies about me, faking being my friend, ghosting me. That's right. He did a numerous amount of things on me. Now let's go to, people are probably wondering, why did I lose faith in a higher power, religion as a whole? I totally hate talking about it. And that's a problem too, is that I'm getting at, is that as victims, they should heal as to what they need to do in order to heal. They shouldn't be forced by others' personal opinions as to what they need to do. It would be much easier for me to forgive somebody that hurt me than somebody that hated me, as to how would I feel about it. If somebody I hated apologized to me, it wouldn't mean much to me. It would still be my choice. It would be easy to just not accept it and throw them away. If somebody that hurt me said it in a sincere way, that would be different. Let's go to the apologies. Now, out of Ken, my father, and Grumster, apologies. Ken gave me a blank apology, which is basically not an apology at all. He said, "It's not you, it's me." My father gave a half-assed apology, and so did Grumpster. Grumpster apologized, but I could tell it wasn't sincere. A sincere apology would explain what they did wrong. They wouldn't just say, "I apologize." Didn't mean anything. And of course, they repeated those same actions afterwards. So, same with my father. So, back to what caused me to leave religion and totally despise it. That happened during the time I was coming to my realization and trying to escape my 3 alcoholics. That's because of Ken being on top of it, which made it extremely painful. It was hard enough dealing with what I already was, but then Ken on top of it. So if we say that, God does things for a reason and, he thinks that we can handle it, well, you know what? If God loved me, he sure as heck would not put me through all that extreme pain right on top of each other. So, totally gone. It's funny because when I first met Ken, and for a while I did believe in God, and I wasn't as, strong as most other people are based on religion. Even with relationships I had stated, males that I've dated, I didn't care what religion they were, or politics, or anything like that. Just like with Ken, he was a friend, and I never saw him based upon the religion he was. I based somebody's, personality and what I like about them on other things. Even with the recent relationship, the intimate partnership that I had, I never even thought about what religion he was or political beliefs. I looked at other things about him that drew me to him, not those things. But with Ken and that incident, that's where, when I was trying to escape my 3 alcoholics, I'm done with religion. Because if God did love me, well, that's where people say, well, Jesus died on the cross, and that's where forgiveness, we have to forgive others. Well, you know what? The amount of pain, the emotional pain that I went through, I'd rather be nailed to a cross than have to go through all that emotional pain that I've gone through. And that's the way I see it. And that's also dealing with empathy, because many others, they're going to spit nails just hearing me say that. But that's where empathy comes in, is understanding that the pain that somebody suffers is different from others. And it can be different. And understanding that is very important. And most people don't understand that, because they still, even to this day, many people will try to say, well, you need to forgive. So hurt is a lot harder to deal with, because, let's see, there's Ken and the other people that surrounded him. Those other people that surrounded him, I can hate them and they have no bearing in my life. Ken, oh, you hurt me. That's going to have effects throughout my life as to my relationships and my healing process and everything else. Same with my father. My mom and sister, I don't care. Them, yeah, that had bearing on my life because it hurt me really badly. Grumpster, people around it, those bowling cloak clans, the assholes, nothing. The hurt that he caused me was what I had stated wasn't the incident that most people would see as unforgivable, but the other things that he had done that hurt me, that will affect me even in future relationships as to how I feel about them. So I find that very interesting, is, with Ken, he hated religion, but I ended up hating it too after going through what he put me through as the hurt. But that leads to forgiveness as to, is it necessary? No. Is it factual that you need it? No. And that's a huge flaw within many, because many strongly believe it. You need to forgive in order to move on. Like I just pointed out, is that the people that I won't forgive, that I totally disrespect, like I showed it in the previous video with this slideshow, is that the bullying cult clans, even in the current situation, I have zero respect, and I couldn't care less about them. Zilch, nothing. The person that hurt me was Grumster. Same with the bullying incident with Ken. Others, nothing. The person that hurt me was Ken. Same with my 3 alcoholics. The person that hurt me was my father. The others, nothing. So that's one flaw I see in the mental health field, is that they focus on telling people that anger is something and hate is something that you should not have in order to move on, when it's actually the hurt. They also say that hurt turns into anger all the time. That's not always true. Even with, as I've just shown, is that my father has hurt me. Do I hate him? No. And look how long it's been since he started being abusive, which was since I was, before I was a teenager. And I still don't hate him. Do I hate Ken? No. I was very hurt. Didn't turn into hate. That hurt is so much harder to deal with. Grumster, do I hate him? No, absolutely not. I was very hurt, and still am very hurt by the 3 of them. The hurt is what held me back. So, we have to understand that emotional abuse is not just what your thoughts are, brain, thinking and stuff like that. It causes physical pain, chest pain, body aches, sleeping issues, nightmares, anxiety, panic attacks. It causes a lot of pain. And also what revolves around your physical health, your mental health. When your mental health isn't good, your physical health will go down. Just like I look at old pictures of myself when I was still living with my 3 alcoholics, I look so much better now. And even after the recent situation, even people that see me going through that really hard time after that happened, they even notice, after, like, wow, you look so much better. So, mental can actually cause physical problems, and we have to see it as equal: physical abuse and emotional abuse. Emotional abuse can be worse than physical abuse, and we need to see that as being equal, because we're going to be those people, just like with slavery. If we come back in another life, we're going to be like, God, we are such assholes. So all those people in the future, when this family gets changed, they're going to be looking at us and saying, why didn't they see that? What freaking assholes. They couldn't see that they were causing all that harm, and they let people get away with this and that and that, and they didn't even think that harmed people. It's the same as with hysteria in women, is that, it used to be legal as to where men were basically the owners of the women and children, and they were getting abused, and they went through all that, and they finally realized what was going on. And of course those laws changed. But we're going to be the same people looking back, that those people are, they're going to be looking back at us saying, God, what jerks. So like Paula J. Kaplan, I hope to make even a small amount of change, or at least a step in the right direction. And like I had stated in another video, those who remain silent, just like with slavery, you watch it happening, you're what? You're letting it continue. You're a part of why it continues. I don't want to remain silent anymore. And I hope to make some changes within society as a whole, not just for myself, but for everybody as a whole. I'm Shelley Rothus, and I'm a different kind of victim. See you next time.